Welcome to my channel. You study English every day. You know many words. You understand videos. But when it's time to speak, the words don't come out. Why does this happen? The answer is simpler than you think. In this lesson, you'll discover how listening and practicing together can help you speak English more naturally, more confidently, and with less fear. Stay with me, and let's unlock the secret to speaking English fluently. Before we begin, tell me in the comments, what is your biggest challenge in speaking English? Your answer might help other learners too. Lesson 1. Build your English through listening. Many English learners believe that speaking is the first skill they should practice. They spend hours trying to talk, memorize long vocabulary lists, or learn difficult grammar rules. After weeks or even months, they feel disappointed because speaking still feels slow and uncomfortable. The real problem is often not a lack of effort. It is a lack of meaningful listening. Listening is the foundation of natural speaking because your brain needs to hear English many times before it can use it with confidence. Think about how children learn their first language. No one gives them grammar books on their first day. They spend months listening to their parents, family members, and the people around them. They hear the same words and sentences again and again. Little by little, their brains recognize patterns. One day, they begin speaking naturally. Learning English works in a similar way. Your brain learns best when it receives clear and repeated examples of real English. This does not mean you should listen without paying attention. Active listening is much more powerful than simply playing English in the background. When you listen actively, you notice how words are connected, where the speaker pauses, and how the voice changes to express different feelings. You also begin to understand common expressions that native speakers use every day. These small details make your English sound more natural. Imagine listening to a short conversation about ordering coffee. The first time, you may only understand a few words. The second time, you recognize more phrases. By the third or fourth time, you can predict what the speaker will say next. This is not because you suddenly became smarter. It is because your brain is building strong connections through repetition. Every careful listening session makes those connections stronger. Now let's do a simple activity together. Listen to this sentence. I'd like a cup of coffee, please. Read it silently first, then read it aloud 2 or 3 times. Finally, close your eyes and say it without looking at the words. If it does not sound perfect, that is completely normal. Your goal is not perfection. Your goal is to become familiar with the rhythm and flow of the sentence. One common mistake is trying to understand every single word. This often makes learners feel stressed and frustrated. Instead, focus on the main idea first. Ask yourself, what is happening in this conversation? Once you understand the general meaning, the smaller details become much easier to notice. This approach helps you enjoy listening instead of fearing it. Choose listening materials that match your current level. If the audio is too difficult, you may lose confidence. If it is too easy, you may stop learning new things. Short conversations, everyday stories, and clear English lessons are excellent choices because they introduce useful vocabulary in real situations. Listening to understandable English every day is much more effective than listening to difficult content once a week. Consistency is more important than long study sessions. Even 10 or 15 minutes of focused listening each day can make a big difference over time. Your ears become more familiar with English sounds. Your brain remembers common sentence patterns, and speaking begins to feel more natural. Progress may seem slow at first, but every listening session is preparing you for confident communication. Listening is not a passive skill. It is the quiet training that happens before confident speaking. Every sentence you understand, every phrase you hear again, and every new expression you recognize becomes part of your English. When you build a strong listening habit, you are not only improving your understanding, you are preparing your mind to speak with greater confidence, clarity, and fluency. Lesson 2. Practice makes English natural. Listening gives your brain the language, but practice teaches your mouth how to use it. This is where many learners stop too early. They listen to English every day, enjoy videos, and understand many conversations, yet they rarely speak. Then they wonder why speaking still feels difficult. The answer is simple. Your brain may know the words, but your mouth needs practice to say them smoothly. Speaking is a skill, and like any skill, it becomes easier through regular use. Learning to speak English is much like learning to ride a bicycle. Watching other people ride can teach you the rules, but you cannot learn balance until you get on the bicycle yourself. At first, you may feel nervous, you may make mistakes or lose confidence. With each attempt, however, your balance improves. Speaking English follows the same path. Every time you practice, even for a few minutes, your confidence grows stronger. One of the best ways to practice is by speaking aloud instead of only thinking silently. Many learners read English in their minds and believe they are practicing. Reading is helpful, but your speaking muscles stay inactive. Your lips, tongue, and voice also need training. When you speak aloud, you become familiar with English sounds, sentence rhythm, and pronunciation. This simple habit helps your speech become clearer over time. Let's try a short exercise together. Read this sentence aloud. I usually study English after dinner. Say it slowly the first time, then say it again with a natural rhythm. Finally, replace one word to make it true for your life. You might say, I usually study English before breakfast, or I usually study English at night. This small change is powerful because you are no longer repeating someone else's sentence. You are using English to express your own life. Another excellent method is shadowing. Shadowing means listening to a short sentence and repeating it immediately after the speaker. Do not worry if you cannot copy the pronunciation perfectly. Focus on matching the speed, rhythm, and natural pauses as closely as you can. At first, your voice may feel slow or uncertain. After several days, you will notice that speaking begins to feel smoother because your brain and mouth are learning to work together. Do not be afraid of making mistakes during practice. Many learners wait until they think their English is perfect before they speak. Unfortunately, that perfect day never comes. Mistakes are not signs of failure. They are signs that you are learning. Every incorrect sentence teaches you something useful. Every hesitation shows you what needs more practice. If you avoid mistakes, you also avoid improvement. A simple daily routine can make a big difference. Choose one short audio clip, perhaps 30 seconds to 1 minute long. Listen carefully 2 or 3 times. Then repeat every sentence aloud. Pause the audio whenever necessary. Finally, try to say the whole message without listening. You may not remember every word, and that is perfectly fine. The goal is not memorization. The goal is to become more comfortable using English naturally. As you continue practicing, pay attention to your progress instead of comparing yourself with others. Maybe today you spoke for 1 minute without stopping. Next week, you may speak for 2 minutes. These small improvements are meaningful because fluency is built step by step. Every confident sentence begins with many simple practice sessions that no one else sees. Speaking English is not about finding the perfect words every time. It is about building the courage to use the words you already know. When listening and speaking become part of your daily routine, English slowly changes from something you study into something you use. That is the moment when practice becomes a habit, and habits become fluent communication. Lesson 3. Turn listening into real conversations. Knowing English is very different from using English. Many learners can understand a lesson, repeat a sentence, and even answer simple questions. But when a real conversation begins, they suddenly become quiet. Their mind starts searching for perfect grammar, the right vocabulary, and the correct pronunciation. While they are thinking, the conversation continues. This is why speaking often feels much harder than listening. The goal is not to know more English. The goal is to use the English you already know without fear. Real conversations do not happen one sentence at a time. People ask questions, change topics, interrupt each other, laugh, and respond naturally. At first, this can feel overwhelming. However, you do not need to understand every word to enjoy a conversation. Good communication is about understanding the main message and responding with confidence. Even native speakers sometimes ask people to repeat themselves or explain something again. That is a normal part of communication. A useful way to prepare for conversations is to practice with situations that are part of your daily life. Think about simple moments like greeting a neighbor, ordering food, introducing yourself, asking for directions, or talking about your hobbies. These conversations happen every day around the world. When you practice them often, your brain begins to recognize familiar patterns instead of creating every sentence from the beginning. Let's practice together. Imagine someone asks, "What do you usually do on weekends?" Instead of giving only a one-word answer, try speaking in 2 or 3 simple sentences. You could say, "I usually stay at home with my family. Sometimes I watch English videos and read a book. On Sunday, I like to go for a walk." Notice that these sentences are not difficult. They are clear, natural, and easy to understand. Fluency is built from simple sentences used confidently, not from difficult words used rarely. Another powerful habit is talking to yourself in English. This may sound unusual at first, but it is one of the safest ways to practice speaking. While making breakfast, describe what you're doing. While walking outside, talk about the weather. Before going to bed, explain what happened during your day. There is no pressure, no fear of making mistakes, and no one to judge you. This daily habit trains your brain to think of English as a language for real life instead of only a school subject. Listening also becomes more valuable when you respond instead of only hearing. After listening to a short story or conversation, pause the audio and answer simple questions aloud. What happened? Who was speaking? What would you do in the same situation? Even if your answers are short, you are creating a bridge between understanding and speaking. This is where real progress begins. Do not worry if you need a few seconds before answering. Fast speaking is not the same as fluent speaking. A calm and clear answer is always better than a rushed sentence filled with confusion. As you practice regularly, those short pauses will become shorter and your responses will become more natural. Confidence grows quietly through repetition, not through pressure. Every conversation is also a chance to learn. If you forget a word, explain it in another way. If you make a mistake, continue speaking instead of stopping. Most people care more about your message than your grammar. Communication is successful when the other person understands you, and that should always be your first goal. The journey from listening to speaking is not a giant leap. It is a series of small, consistent steps. Each conversation, each practice session, and each sentence you speak adds another piece to your confidence. The more you use English in real situations, the less you will think about the language itself. Instead, you will simply use it to share your ideas, express your feelings, and connect with people. That is the true purpose of learning English, and it is a goal that becomes more achievable every single day. Lesson 4. Build confidence through daily practice. Confidence is something many English learners wait for before they start speaking. They believe that one day they will know enough words, understand every grammar rule, and pronounce every sound correctly. Then they will finally feel ready to speak. In reality, confidence grows in the opposite direction. It does not come before practice. It comes because of practice. Every small conversation, every sentence spoken aloud, and every mistake you learn from becomes another step toward confident English. Think about someone who goes to the gym for the first time. They cannot lift heavy weights on the first day, and no one expects them to. They become stronger by exercising regularly. Speaking English works in exactly the same way. You do not become fluent because of one long study session. You become fluent because you practice a little every day. Small, consistent actions create big results over time. One reason learners lose confidence is that they focus too much on what they cannot do. They notice every mistake, every forgotten word, and every moment of hesitation. But they rarely notice their progress. Perhaps last month you could only introduce yourself. Today, you can describe your daily routine, talk about your hobbies, or explain your plans for the weekend. These improvements may seem small, but they are clear signs that your English is growing. A helpful habit is to keep your practice simple and realistic. You do not need hours of free time. 10 or 15 minutes each day can be enough if you use them well. Listen to a short conversation, repeat it aloud, and then talk about the same topic using your own words. If the conversation is about food, describe your favorite meal. If it is about travel, talk about a place you want to visit. By connecting English with your own experiences, you make the language more meaningful and easier to remember. Here is another short activity you can do right now. Stand in front of a mirror and introduce yourself as if you're meeting someone for the first time. Say your name, where you're from, what you enjoy doing, and why you're learning English. Smile while you speak, even if you feel a little nervous. This may seem like a small exercise, but it helps you become comfortable hearing your own English voice. The more familiar that voice becomes, the more confident you will feel in real conversations. There will be days when speaking feels easy, and there will be days when you struggle to remember simple words. That is completely normal. Learning is never a straight line. Some days you move forward quickly. Other days you feel as if nothing has changed. Do not let those difficult days convince you to stop. Progress often happens quietly, and you may not notice it until you look back after several weeks or months. It is also important to celebrate effort, not only success. If you spoke English today, even for 5 minutes, you achieved something valuable. If you listened carefully to a conversation and understood more than yesterday, that is progress. Every positive habit strengthens your skills. Fluency is not built from one perfect performance. It is built from hundreds of small victories that happen every single day. Remember that every fluent English speaker was once a beginner. They also searched for words, made pronunciation mistakes, and felt nervous during conversations. What made the difference was not natural talent. It was the decision to keep practicing even when improvement felt slow. They trusted the process, and you can do the same. Confidence is not a gift that only a few people receive. It is a skill that grows through action. Each time you listen carefully, speak bravely, and practice patiently, you become a stronger English speaker. One day, you will notice something surprising. You are no longer translating every sentence or worrying about every mistake. You are simply communicating. That quiet moment is proof that your daily practice has become lasting confidence. Lesson 5. Make English a part of your everyday life. Many learners think English only belongs in a classroom, a textbook, or an online lesson. They study for a while, close the book, and return to their normal lives. As a result, English becomes something they visit instead of something they live with. If you want to speak more naturally, English needs to become a small but regular part of your daily routine. The more often your brain meets English in real life, the more comfortable it becomes using the language. The good news is that you do not need to change your entire schedule. You simply need to invite English into the activities you already do every day. While making breakfast, name the food you're preparing. When you're walking outside, describe what you see around you. While waiting for a bus or standing in a line, think about your plans for the day in English. These short moments may seem unimportant, but together they create hours of meaningful practice over time. One powerful habit is to connect listening with your daily routine. Instead of listening only when you decide to study, play a short English podcast or conversation while getting ready in the morning or during a walk. Listen once to understand the main idea, then listen again and pay attention to useful expressions. Finally, pause the audio and repeat a few sentences aloud. This simple cycle, listen, notice, and speak, helps your brain remember English more effectively than passive listening alone. Let's try a practical exercise. Look around the room you're in right now. Choose 5 objects and describe each one with a simple sentence. You might say, "The chair is next to the table." "My notebook is open." "The window is closed." "I have a bottle of water." "My phone is on the desk." After that, make the sentences a little longer. Add colors, sizes, or your opinions. This exercise teaches you to use English with the world around you instead of depending on memorized examples. Another useful habit is keeping a short speaking journal. At the end of each day, talk for 1 or 2 minutes about what happened. You do not need to write anything first. Simply speak. Describe one good moment, one challenge, and one thing you learned. If you cannot remember a word, explain the idea in another way. This trains an important communication skill. In real conversations, people often explain ideas differently instead of stopping completely. Do not worry if your English is not perfect every day. Some days your sentences will be smooth, while on other days you may pause more often. That is completely natural. Even professional speakers have better and worse days. The important thing is to continue using English instead of waiting for the perfect moment. Every time you choose to speak, you remind your brain that English is a language for communication, not a test to pass. It also helps to make your environment more English-friendly. Change the language on some of your apps. Follow English learning channels. Listen to songs while reading the lyrics. Or watch short videos with clear subtitles. These small changes increase the amount of English you experience without making learning feel like hard work. Your brain begins to recognize common words and expressions because it sees them again and again in different situations. As your daily exposure grows, something interesting begins to happen. You stop translating every sentence into your first language. Familiar phrases appear in your mind more quickly. Simple answers come naturally, and you spend less time searching for words. This change does not happen overnight, but it happens steadily when English becomes part of your everyday life instead of an occasional activity. Fluent speakers are not always the people who study the longest. They are often the people who use English most consistently. By bringing the language into your ordinary routines, you create countless opportunities to listen, think, and speak. One small habit may not seem powerful today, but months from now, you will realize that those everyday moments quietly transformed the way you communicate in English. Lesson 6. The secret is consistency, not perfection. After everything we have learned, one important truth becomes clear. There is no magic trick that makes someone fluent overnight. There is no single book, video, or app that can instantly transform your English. The real secret is much simpler. Listen regularly. Practice regularly. Keep going, even when progress feels slow. Small efforts repeated every day create results that surprise you over time. Many learners quit because they expect quick improvement. They study hard for a few days, make a few mistakes, and begin to think, maybe English is not for me. But learning any language takes time. Think about planting a seed. You water it every day, but you do not see a tree the next morning. For a while, it seems as if nothing is happening. Beneath the ground, however, the roots are growing stronger. One day, a small green leaf appears. Your English develops in the same way. Every listening session, every speaking exercise, and every new sentence strengthens your foundation, even when you cannot see the progress immediately. Take a moment to think about where you started. Perhaps you were once afraid to say even a simple greeting. Maybe English conversations sounded too fast, and every sentence felt impossible to understand. Today, you have learned how listening prepares your brain, how speaking builds confidence, how daily practice creates habits, and how using English in real life makes communication more natural. These are not small achievements. They are the building blocks of fluency. Now let's finish with one final practice activity. Speak aloud for 1 minute about this topic. Why am I learning English? Do not stop if you forget a word. Use simple sentences. You can talk about your studies, your career, your dreams, or the people you want to communicate with. If 1 minute feels difficult today, try again tomorrow. Then try again next week. You will be amazed at how much easier it becomes when you stay consistent. It is also helpful to celebrate progress in simple ways. If you understand a new expression, smile and remember it. If you speak for 5 minutes without switching to your first language, appreciate that achievement. If you make a mistake and learn something from it, count that as success. Progress is not measured by perfection. It is measured by how much you continue learning and improving. Whenever you feel discouraged, remember why you started this journey. Perhaps you want to study abroad, get a better job, travel with confidence, or simply enjoy conversations with people from around the world. Keep that reason close to your heart. Your purpose will give you strength on the days when motivation is low. Motivation comes and goes, but a clear purpose helps you continue. Never compare your journey with someone else's. Every learner has a different starting point, a different schedule, and different experiences. Some people improve quickly in pronunciation. Others become better at listening first. What truly matters is that you are improving compared to the person you were yesterday. Even one new word, one clearer sentence, or one extra minute of speaking is a step in the right direction. As you continue this journey, remember one simple habit: listen with attention, practice with courage, speak with patience, repeat the process tomorrow, then repeat it again the next day. These ordinary actions may not feel exciting, but they are the reason confident English speakers exist. Fluency is not built in one extraordinary moment. It is built through thousands of ordinary moments that you choose not to skip. Your English journey is not ending here. In many ways, it is just beginning. Every conversation you have, every story you listen to, and every sentence you speak will make you a little stronger than before. Keep learning with curiosity, keep practicing with confidence, and keep believing in the power of consistent effort. One day you will look back and realize that the English you once struggled to speak has become a natural part of who you are. Thank you so much for watching. I hope today's lesson helped you understand that listening and regular practice are the real keys to speaking English fluently. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a like and subscribe to the channel for more practical English lessons every week. Don't forget to turn on the bell notification so you never miss a new lesson. Now I'd love to hear from you. What is your biggest challenge in speaking English? Share your answer in the comments below. I read your comments, and they help me create lessons that are even more useful for you. Remember, every small step you take today brings you closer to confident English tomorrow. Keep listening, keep practicing, and most importantly, never stop believing in your progress. Thank you for being part of this learning community. I'll see you in the next lesson. Until then, take care, keep learning, and keep speaking English every day.